The third day of the eighth special session of the 20th Congress will now come to order. May we all rise for a moment of silent prayer. Roll call.
Senator Alec, Senator Aritos, Senator Figuer, Senator Coolant, Floor Leader Harper, Senator Kunman, Vice Speaker Moses, Senator Neff, Senator Penuelo,
Aye.
Senator Perman, Senator Romulo, Senator Ursmal, Senator Wally, Speaker Semina. Mr. Speaker, 13 members are present.
We have quorum to transact business today. Next item, reading of the journal. Floor Leader Harper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As usual, I move to dispense with the reading of the journal.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we dispense with the reading of our journal today. Those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. We now dispense with the reading of the journal. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, item 5, presidential communications in receipt of numbers 20-443 through 20-449.
Assigned those, Chief Clerk. Next item.
Item 6, some Supreme Court communications, there are none. Item 7, member communications, none. Item 8, departmental communications, none. Item 9, agency or governmental authority communications, none. Item 10, state communications, also none. Item 11, state Supreme Court communications, none. Item 12, municipal or town communications, none. Item 13, foreign government communications, also none.
Okay, order of the day. Item 14.
Mr. Speaker, for item 14, standing committee reports, there are none.
Next item.
Item 15, special committee reports, also none. Item
Short
6,
recess, Mr. Speaker.
Okay,
Mr. Speaker.
Item 16, assignment of measures. Take note of the referral sheet, members, especially Chairman, for your planning purposes. Point of privilege, Chairman Ursimo, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a point of privilege to call for a short recess.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. Next item, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the next item is item 17, unfinished business. There are
Point
none.
of privilege, Mr. Speaker.
State your point, Senator Conman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise on the point of privilege to introduce for recognition two of my constituents who are presently observing this morning session, and I want to introduce them and kindly ask that we give them a round of applause. Let me begin by introducing Mr. Takashi Reim and Mr. Chirshinaga.
Yes, they are our constituents. I want you to keep stressing that. Okay, thank you, Senator Coleman, for introducing those two gentlemen. I think they are actually Pohnpeians. Have you checked whether they voted in Pohnpei? Okay, any other point of privilege?
Speaker,
Yes, Chairman Panuelo.
Speaker, I'll introduce the others who are observing our session, all of them, and we give them a collective round of applause in the interest of time. Speaker, kindly allow me to introduce on all our behalf the following individuals who are here observing the session with us. We have Pelan Yoma as a National Ombudsman of RFSM Supreme Court, Atarino Eliezer, FSM librarian, Molden Enli, FSM police officer, our good Belshazzar Petrus from the President's office. We have Tias Joseph from the Upward Bound program, and Roland Chani Jr., FSM police officer. These are what I have on the list, Speaker. Can we give them a round of applause and welcome them to the chamber? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Panuelo. I know one of those individuals, I think, is trying to get his project from me. And, okay, any other point of privilege? If none, let's continue. Chief Clerk, next item.
Mr. Speaker, we're now on item 18, bill calendar. The first one is CP number 20-158 for second reading from your Committee on Health and Social Affairs. CP number 20-158 is a bill for an act to amend section or sections 603, 604, 607, 708, 801, 803, 804, and 806 of Title 53 of the Code of the Federated States of Micronesia as annotated to clarify, define, and revise the administration, contribution, collections, and benefits of the Federated States of Micronesia, Social Security, and for other purposes.
Chairman Perman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to you, vice members, and all that are observing our session this morning. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion for passage for second and final reading for the said bill.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-158. Discussion.
Speaker,
Chairman Perman.
I also have an amendment to the said bill.
Okay, short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. Chairman Berman, still have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Like I said, I have a floor amendment to offer to the said bill.
Proceed.
It's, well, I'm not going to ask the Chief Clerk to read it, but motion to adopt the floor amendment.
It's moved and seconded that the offered four amendments to CB 20-158 by Chairman Berman be adopted. Floor Leader Harper, motion to suspend.
So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Any second? It's moved and seconded that the relevant rules, specifically that those rules prohibiting substantive amendments on second and final reading, be suspended. Those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The relevant rules are now suspended. So discussion on the motion. Any discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of the adoption of the offered four amendments to CB 20-158 by Chairman Berman say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. The offered amendments are adopted. We now have CT1.
Speaker,
Chairman,
motion to defer action on the said bill to the last day of session.
Second.
it's moved and seconded that we defer CB 20-158 CT1 to the last day of session. Those in favor of that motion say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Said
When
bill
is
is
the
deferred
last
to the last
Speaker?
day of session.
When will it be that?
The last day, whenever that last day. We will
I
decide
thought we were
that.
going to adjourn today.
Okay, the motion is made, it's been adopted. So next bill, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 20-307 for second reading. CB number 20-307. It's a bill for an act to further amend Public Law number 20-141 as amended by Public Laws numbers 20-145, 20-163, and 20-164 by amending sections 4 and 6 thereof to change the use and allotment of funds previously appropriated therein for the purpose of funding priority infrastructure projects and other projects and programs in the state of Pohnpei and for other purposes.
Okay, Chairman Figure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the passage of Congress Bill 20-307 on second and final reading.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-307. Discussion.
Speaker,
Chairman Wale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a floor amendment that I wish to offer to the said bill.
Proceed.
Copies have been circulated and duplicated to members. It's a very small amendment, so I will not ask Chief Clerk to read this. I'd rather move for its adoption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It's moved and seconded that the offered for amendment to CB 20-307 by Chairman Wale be adopted. Chief Clerk, it's a short one. Read it into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a floor amendment to CP number 20-307 offered by Chairman Wale. Item 1 of the amendment in the title, line 5, delete State of Pohnpei and insert States of Koshai and Pohnpei in lieu thereof. The last item of the amendment on page 8, line 1, delete 3 subsection lowercase a.
Okay, there you have it. Discussion.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Chairman Wale.
yeah, this amendment is to correct line item 2 here because there were 2 different allotments assigned to the same line item. So just make it just one now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Wale. A short recess subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. Chairman Miller, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to restate my amendment that I made earlier regarding the Koshai portion of the Alati. The correct amendment is page 8, line 15, 3, subsection A should be deleted in its entirety, and the line 10, 3A subsection A remain.
That
So moved.
remains. Okay, there you have the correction to the offered floor amendments to CP 20-307. Discussion. Any
Speaker.
discussion?
That's in amending.
Can
Yes, Berman?
I also have a floor amendment?
Yes, you can come in afterwards. Okay, if there is no further discussion, if there's no objection, discussion is closed, so let's vote. Those in favor of the adoption of the offered for amendments to CB 20-307 by Chairman Willie as corrected, say yes. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Said offered amendments, floor amendments are adopted. We have CT1. Senator Ned.
Thank you, Speaker. I move for the adoption of my short amendment.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Session, there is the offered for amendment to CP 20-307 by Senator Ned. It's been written up and distributed to all members. I think, Chief Clerk, it's short enough. Can you read it into the records?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have a floor amendment to CB number 20-307 CD1 offered by Senator Tianchinet. Item 1 of his amendment on page 6, line 4. Delete the phrase Diati watery system. And insert and island food community of Pohnpei subsidy. Item 2 of his amendment still on page 6, line 18. Delete bias civic center and insert election district number 2 administrative support service in Luterhof. Item 3 of the amendment on page 9, after the word PTA, insert the following. The allotment of funds appropriated under subsection 43N of this act shall be the Secretary of the Department of Health and Social Services or her designee.
Okay, there you have it. There was a motion that's been seconded, so discussion. Any discussion? Let the record reflect that the relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. Any discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote let's vote those in favor of the adoption of Senator Neds for amendments to CB 20-307 CT1, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. The amendments are adopted. We now have CT2.
Speaker.
Yes, Chairman Berman? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also have a floor amendment to offer. I ask reading to be dispensed. It's basically change of allotee. So move for its adoption.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that the offered amendments by Chairman Berman be adopted. Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Second session, we have the offered for amendments to CP 20-307 CT2 by Chairman Berman. Because of its length, we will dispense with its reading. Discussion.
Speaker.
Yes, Chairman
Yeah,
Berman.
what this amendment is doing is, as we all know, that when it comes to paving, it's only one company that does that paving in Palm Bay, and that's PTA. So I'm changing it back to them because the process of paving in Palm Bay is delayed due to bidding process, and it then ends up with them again. So we're trying to see if we can speed up the process. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Berman, for that explanation. Any other discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of the adoption of the offered floor amendments to CB 20-307 CT2, offered by Chairman Berman, say yes. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The offered amendments by Chairman Berman are adopted. We have CT3. Any further discussion on
Mr. Speaker.
CT3?
Mr. Speaker.
If none, yes, Vice
Thank you,
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Good morning to you, members, and those observing. I have an oral amendment I wish to make to the said bill.
Proceed.
On page 7, line 4, subitem F, right before the word solar, include a capital U.
Who? Who
I
as
so
in
move.
who? The
Yes.
municipality of who? Okay.
Vice, what about net?
They have a separate, same, in a separate bill.
Okay. All right. There is that offered oral amendments oral amendment by Vice Speaker Moses. Discussion? Any discussion?
Is Awak Inu or it's a separate village?
It's a no.
Okay.
So is there any at my brother-in-law's house?
Okay. So discussion, the relevant rules are still suspended for the records. Okay, if no further discussion, let's vote. Those in favor of the offered oral amendments by Vice Speaker Moses, say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The offered oral amendments by Vice Speaker Moses are adopted. We now have CT4. Any further discussion on CT4? If none, if there is no objection, discussion is closed. So let's vote by roll call of delegations. Chief Clerk.
State of Chuk, Chairman Aritas. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo.
Amen.
State of Kushai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal. Mr. Speaker, all the 4 states 4-4.
For that reason, CP number 20-307 CT4 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CP number 20-311 for second reading.
Chairman,
CP number 20-311 is a bill for an act to amend Section 1 of Public Law number 15-70 and to further amend Section 3 of Public Law number 15-70 as amended by Public Law number 20-139 to clarify the duties of the Joint Trust Fund Committee representatives and for other purposes.
Speaker.
Chairman Fakir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that Congress pass Congress Bill 20-311 on second and final reading.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-311. Discussion. Any discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. Let's vote by roll call of delegations. Chief Clerk.
State of Chuk, Chairman Aritos. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo.
Amen.
State of Kushai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal. Mr. Speaker, all the 4 states 4-4.
CP number 20-311 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, the next bill is CP number 20-313 for second reading. CP number 20-313, it's a bill for an act to further amend Public Law number 20-155 as amended by Public Law number 20-177 by amending sections 4 and 6 thereof for the purpose of changing the use and allotment of funds previously appropriated therein to fund public projects and social programs for the people of Pohnpei and for other purposes.
Chairman
Speaker.
Fakir.
Thank you, Speaker. I move for the passage on second and final reading, Congress Bill.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-313. Discussion. Any discussion? If none,
Speaker, I yield the floor to Net, Chairman Net.
Senator Net.
Thank you, Speaker. I move for the adoption of my small amendment.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress adopt the small amendments offered by Senator Net. It's a short one, so Chief Clerk, read it into the record.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have a floor amendment to CB number 20-313 offered by Senator Dion G. Net. Item 1, page 2, line 20, after the word obligations, insert the following, and administrative support services. Item 2, page 4, line 22, delete the following, Health and Social Affairs or designee, and insert the following, Education and Needs designee in lieu thereof.
Okay, there you have it. There's a motion. It's been seconded for adoption. Discussion. The irrelevant rules are still suspended up to this point. Yes, Floor Leader Harbour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just out of curiosity, I just want to ask, why is there this change from health and social affairs to education or its designee?
Senator Net, would you be kind enough to help out our
Thank you, Floor Leader.
Floor Leader.
Because the project is no longer an health project, but rather an education project, assisting the high school in Kitty.
Okay,
Speaker.
you have it. Chairman Ursumal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So there is already a designated also alati, so the education and his designee. So 2 people will be alati of this, or 1 department and 1 person.
Well, it says and, so meaning two. It doesn't say or. So what is your intention, Senator Net? Is it going to be
My
either of
intention
them
is
or?
but the lawyer's
Or.
intention is and.
Okay, let the technical correction be made. It's or, not and. Okay, any further discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote on the amendment. Those in favor of the adoption of the offer floor amendments to CB 20-313 by Senator Net, say yes. Opposed, no. A motion carried. The offered amendments are adopted. We have CT1. Any further discussion on the bill? CD1? If none, if there's no objection, discussion is closed. So let's vote by roll call of delegations.
State of Chuuk, Chairman Aritos. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo.
Gamay.
State of Koshai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Rusmal. Mr. Speaker, all the 4 states voted in favor.
CP number 20-313 is adopted by, CD1 is adopted by Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 20-310 for second reading. CB number 20-310 is a bill for an act to further amend sections 1214, 1216, and 1217 of Title 55 of the Code of the Federated States of Micronesia as annotated, as amended by Public Laws numbers 18-74, 19-67, and 20-174 to amend the date when funds from the FSM Trust Fund may be distributed to a state or the national government or withdrawn by a state to October 1st, 2030, to amend the miscellaneous restrictions on the FSM Trust Fund and for other purposes.
Okay, Chairman Figueroa.
Thank you, Speaker. I move for the passage on second and final reading, Congress Bill number 20-310.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading, CP number 20-310. Discussion.
Speaker,
Discussion.
recess.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. We're still on discussion of 310.
Speaker,
Any
move for
discussion?
the previous question.
Well, I think everybody doesn't want to debate this, so debate is closed. All right, so Chief Clerk, roll call. Delegation.
State of Chuuk, Chairman Aritos. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo.
Gamay.
State of Koshai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Rusmal. Mr. Speaker, 4 states voted for.
Okay, CP number 20-310 has passed Congress, second and final reading.
Speaker,
Next
I
bill.
think you and Chairman Figueroa just wasted paper.
Amendments.
Well, no, it shows that we're working because we're really debating back and forth, and this is how we. Okay, next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 20-309 for second reading, CP number 20-309. It's a bill for an act to amend Section 209 of Title II of the Code of the Federated States of Micronesia as annotated to increase the salaries of the President and Vice President of the Federated States of Micronesia and for other purposes.
Okay, Chairman Romulo.
Move for passage on the second and final reading.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-309. Discussion. Any discussion? If none,
Mr. Speaker.
I'm waiting for you. I'm looking at you.
Oh, thank you,
You're
Mr.
not
Speaker.
looking at
Sorry,
me.
I wasn't looking,
Yeah.
was looking down.
Okay.
And that is an indication of what I'm going to be attempting here. I have an oral amendment that I wish to make on the bill.
Proceed.
Okay, page 9. Page 9, page 1, line 9. Delete the figure 80,000 in lieu thereof and insert the figure 64,000 in lieu thereof. Page 10, page 1, line 10. Delete the figure 70,000 and insert the figure 54,000 in lieu thereof. I so move.
Okay, it's moved and it's been seconded for purpose of discussion. Okay, so discussion on the offered oral amendments.
Speaker,
Okay, motion to suspend the rules first.
I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, if there's no objection, the relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. Okay, let's hear from,
May I explain the rationale?
of course,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the 64 where it comes from is a doubling the salary of the current salary of the president. Currently, it's 34 times 2 is 64.
no, 68. It's supposed to be 68.
34 times 2 when I went to school is 64. Maybe you went to different schools.
You went to the wrong school, man.
Yeah,
They don't know how
but-
to add.
32 times 2. 32 times 2 is 64. Anyway, for the vice president, currently is 30. So to double that will be 60.
60.
So
So where are
maybe
you getting
my
that?
arithmetic as was
I
pointed.
think I'll vote no for your amendment.
I'm sorry,
Doesn't
Mr.
make
Speaker.
sense.
So 64 and 60 will be more appropriate,
Okay,
doubling the salaries. I so move. Make the technical correction on the second.
okay. So any further discussion? Questions being called for on the offered oral amendments. So let's vote on the offered oral amendments. Those in favor of the offered oral amendments by Chairman Ursmal say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The noes have it. So your amendments, oral amendments, Mr. Chairman Ursmal, are not adopted. Continue discussion on 309. If there is no further discussion, we will now vote. Chief Clerk, roll call, delegations.
State of Chuk, Chairman Aritos. State of Pohnpei,
Hey, Mai.
Chairman Panuelo. State of Kushai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal.
My amendment didn't make it, so I yield the floor to Chairman of Mani.
Chairman Figuer. So what's-
Okay, that's a yes, because he said no conflict, and I declare that as
Okay, so Mrs. Speaker, 4 states voted in favor.
okay. CP number 20-309 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Short recess, please.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Back in session. Next bill, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 20-285 for second reading.
Quiet. Read the title. Short recess, subject to call of the chair. I don't even. Congress is back in session. Read the title.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 20-285. CB number 20-285 is a bill for an act to further amend Chapter 6 of Title 55 of the Code of the Federated States of Micronesia, annotated as amended by Public Law numbers 18-39, 19-39, and 19-46 to insert new sections 607A to establish an annual reporting requirement for the impressed revolving funds, 612A to establish an annual reporting requirement for the Disaster Relief Fund, 629A to establish an annual reporting requirement for the Bond Repayment Fund, 682A to establish an annual reporting requirement for the Maritime Surveillance Revolving Fund, and 1612A to establish an annual reporting requirement for the Immigration, Customs, and Quarantine Overtime Revolving Fund, and for other purposes.
Chairman Figueroa.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I move for the passage of this bill on second and final reading.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-285. Discussion.
Point of privilege, Mr. Speaker.
Of course, Chairman Willis, state your point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have in our gallery this morning some very important individuals and leaders from Gusai that I wish to introduce for recognition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In our chamber this morning, we have His Excellency Honorable Governor Carson Jackson. We also have Honorable Speaker Talencha Balik, Chief of Staff Rolinson Ned, and Administrative Officer for the Legislature, Tri-State Legislature, Simeon Philip. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Willis. I think the record has to be corrected. Okay.
Yeah.
As you were, Mr. Speaker.
And our apology,
Thank
Governor.
you.
Sikra.
As you were, may I correct my introduction I made earlier? It's Governor Sikra, not Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, yes.
Point of privilege.
Of course, the record
Probably
is
didn't vote
corrected.
for him.
Okay, Chairman Panuelo, you have any privilege?
Well, Speaker, maybe the confusion was because when I walked over to welcome the Gusai delegation, our very own staff, Alex Jackson, stood up and shook my hand. I think he's advertising that he will be candidate from state of Gusai.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you. Anything, Chairman Ursimo? Oh, okay, privilege.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Senator Coleman.
Speaker. I also wish to make a correction to my introduction earlier. I was referring to Takashi Rain, but actually it's Tias Joseph. Thank you very much.
I was waiting for you when you will make that correction, but I don't want to make that correction for you.
The brothers look same, so.
Okay, it seems like some magics are working this morning. Same, it started with Conman, then Chairman Ursimal, he couldn't act, and now Chairman Willie. So, okay, any other point of privilege? If not, next bill.
Speaker, we're on 285. Is that, am I still on the wrong track here, or?
See, it's really, the magic is really working, even on the speaker.
We're on 285?
Yes, roll call.
No, I have a question, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know, and it's a noble idea to include, to mandate that certain reports be submitted to Congress. But I am very much cognizant of the fact that under our laws, current laws, there is a requirement that all allottees of funds, public funds from this Congress, must report to Speaker every year on May 1st. Today is May, I forgot, is it May 8, May 9?
It's May 8.
Okay, May 8. Well, it's a birthday of one of my Pinay. Anyway, but I don't see any, except for these computer printouts or something from finance, I don't see any reports. So where I'm getting at is, what teeth are there? What is in the bill that would trigger something if no reports are submitted?
Okay, that's a good question. I think first you have to require them to report, and if they fail to do that, then we add in some teeth, as you, right?
Mr. Speaker, currently there is no teeth, because I recall when this Congress appropriated money for overtime of our immigration people, and earlier overtime for our national police, they were not paid in a timely manner. Some of them didn't get paid for years. So I wonder why we don't put teeth in this. So if they don't report, Congress must do something, and something fast, not wait until oversight hearing and then we waste time. Why are you doing, why not this?
Well, first step, require the reports, and if they don't do the reports, then the next step. And I think that's what you're referring to. But right now, they have no application whatsoever under these particular laws to make any reports. So that's what we're trying to address here. But I understand what you're saying, because, some of the reporting requirements haven't been done by our branches of government or allottees. But for these revolving funds, I think it's good that it would be a good thing to include in the statutory schemes that they require, that they submit reports. Then we can take a look at the non-reporting, failure to report when it comes to it. We don't know yet whether they will still fail to report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but
okay.
These revolving funds, are they not included in the requirement of reporting to Speaker on May 1st of each year?
My understanding is no, they're not, because they're individual laws that are specific to certain funds. Any further discussion?
Can we go back?
We are in session. Okay. There's no further discussion. Debate is closed. Chief Clerk, roll call of delegations.
State of Chuuk, Chairman Oritos. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo.
Aye.
State of Kushai, Chairman Wali. State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal. Mr. Speaker, all the 4 states voted for.
Okay, CP number 20-285 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CP number 20-314 or 314 for second reading. CP number 20-314. It's a bill for an act to further amend Public Law 20-125 as amended by Public Laws numbers 20-135, 20-146, 20-157, and 20-179 by amending Section 5 thereof for the purpose of changing the use of certain funds previously appropriated therein to fund public projects and social programs for the people of the state of Chuuk and for other purposes.
Chairman Fleer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the passage of the bill on second and final reading.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 20-314. Discussion. Chairman Willett, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a floor amendment to the said bill, CP number 20-314. Copies have been circulated to members, and it's quite lengthy, so I will not ask Chief Clerk to read it, but move for its adoption.
It's moved and seconded that the offered floor amendments to CB 20-314 by Chairman Willett be adopted. Because of its length, we will dispense with its reading, and let the records reflect that the relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. Discussion on the offered floor amendments. If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed, so let's vote. Those in favor of the offered floor amendments to CB 20-314 by Chairman Willett, say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The offered floor amendments to CB 20-314 are adopted. We now have draft 1, CD1. Any further discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. Let's vote by roll call of delegations. Chief Clerk.
State of Chuuk, Chairman Aritos. State of Pohnpei, Chairman Panuelo. State of Kushai, Chairman Willie. State of Yap, Chairman Orsmao. Mr. Speaker, all the 4 states voted in favor.
Okay. CP number 20-314 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Speaker.
Chairman Berman.
Thank you, Speaker. If you allow me to withdraw 2 bills, Congressional Bill 20-1315 and Congressional 316 to our bill calendar for today. So moved.
It's moved and seconded that the following bills, 20-315, 20-316 be withdrawn from committee and placed on the bill calendar for first reading action. Those in favor of that motion say yes. Opposed, no. The relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. So we now have 2 bills
Mr. Speaker.
placed, 315 and 316. First bill, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have CP number 20-315 for first reading. CP number 20-315 is a bill for an act to amend Public Law number 20-178 by amending sections 5 and 6 therein to change the use of funds previously appropriated therefore or thereof to fund public projects and social programs for the people of Pohnpei and Chuuk states and for other purposes.
Okay, there you have it. Discussion. If there's no discussion, we will go for first reading. Roll call. Chief Clerk.
Senator Alec. Senator Aritos. Senator Figuer. Senator Coolant. Floor Leader Harper. Floor Leader Harper.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress back in session. Chairman Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the passage of Congress Bill 20-315 on first reading.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on first reading CP number 20-315. Discussion. Any discussion? If none, there is no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote by roll call of members. First reading.
Senator Alick, Senator Aritos, Senator Figueroa, Senator Coolant, Floor Leader Harper, Senator Kunman, Vice Speaker Moses, Senator Ned, Senator Panuelo,
Aye.
Senator Perman, Senator Romulo, Senator Ismail, Senator Wali, Speaker Semina, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 13 members voted for.
CB number 20-315 has passed Congress on first reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CP number 20-316 for first reading. CP number 20-316 is a bill for an act to award an 8% increase in the annual salary for all full-time employees of the Federated States of Micronesia's National Government Public Service System who have been employed for more than 4 years and for other purposes.
Chairman Romulo.
Defer to Chairman of Health.
Okay, Chairman Berman.
Thank you, Chairman Romulo. I so move for the passage of first reading on the said bill.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on first reading CP number 20-316. Discussion. Any discussion?
Speaker.
Floor leader first, then.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to ask, why is it that we're only limiting the increase to the employees who are working more than or working 4 or more years? Why not include everybody?
Chairman Berman, a fairness question.
Well, short recess.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress back in session. We're still discussing Bill number 316. Any discussion, Vice Speaker Moses?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to put on record my thinking on the whole issue. The problem that I see is the way we handle our personnel system, with the lack of a performance management program to actually implement that program and have our employees be rewarded through their performance is lacking. However, it's the fault of this government that such a program is not in place. We haven't dealt into coming up with some sort of a management program for our employees. However, wages have been stuck. We have been, well, not since I've been in Congress, but the cost of living allowance that's been approved on occasion does help, and it's not a permanent thing. And to have employees stuck within a particular wage for a certain amount of period is very disheartening to some employees, because the economics that we face, the 8% increase being recommended falls within probably the annual inflation rate for the FSM. And it is an issue that we deal with. The compact deals with it. There's an inflation adjustment that occurs, I believe, annually to adjust the amount of funds that we get for inflation. And yet we don't adjust the salaries to go for inflation. I think that would be probably way too expensive for us. But this is a one-time, I think it mentions in the bill that it's a one-time adjustment for our employees, and it might give them a probably one-year catch-up to the annual inflation rate that we face within the nation. And I believe the states might need to do the same for their employees, just to help defray the annual interest rates that occurs within the nation. And so I'm in support of the bill, but the FSM national government needs to also take a look at its whole personnel system, because the wage bill within the past 20 years has skyrocketed, and this is not due to our public service system, but it's due to the special services contracts that we award. So it would be a wise thing to have an oversight on how we can migrate the special services contract back into the public service system so that we have control of our wage bill. So that's what I wanted to add on record. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Vice Speaker Moses. Well said. And any other discussion on the bill? Questions being called? I'll allow you, Chairman Figueroa.
I move to defer action on the bill.
It's moved and seconded that we defer action on the bill. Those in favor of that motion say yes. Opposed, nay. Okay, said bill is now deferred. Next bill, Chief Clerk.
There are none, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker,
Floor Leader Harbor.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know I may be swimming against the current, but if there may be no objection, I move that we reconsider our action or our motion on the bill that we defer yesterday, bill number 20-3112. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
There's second. It's moved and seconded that we reconsider our action to defer CP number 20-312. Okay, that's not subject to debate. So let's vote. Those in favor of the motion to reconsider our deferment of Bill 20-312, say yes. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried. The motion to defer, the deferral is now reconsidered. We have that bill. Short recess, subject to call of the chair. We now have the Bill 20-312 on the calendar. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this Congress pass on first reading Bill number 20-312.
It's moved and seconded that Congress pass on first reading CB number 20-312. Okay, discussion? Any discussion? If none,
I yield the floor to Romulo.
Chairman Romulo, the floor has been yielded to you.
Short recess.
Speaker,
Short recess subject to call of the chair. You have the floor, Chairman Romulo. You want to yield it?
I'm yielding it back to Floor Leader Harper.
Okay, floor leader Harper.
Speaker, I think we all understand the bill, so if there may be no objection, I move for previous question.
It's moved and seconded that debate be closed. There is no objection, so debate is closed. Roll call, Chief Clerk. First reading.
Senator Alec, Senator Aritos, Senator Fakir, Senator Colant. Floor Leader Harper. Senator Conman. Vice Speaker Moses. Senator Neth. Senator Panuelo.
Aye.
Senator Perman.
No.
Senator Romulo.
Yes.
Senator Ursmal.
That's yes.
Senator Welly. Speaker Simina.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 9 members voted no. 4 yes, and then 4 voted no.
For that reason, CP number 20-312 does not pass Congress on first reading. Next bill.
None, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Short recess subject to call of the chair. Do we have? So let's just keep going down. Congress back in session. Next item, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, item 19, resolution calendar. There are none.
Okay. Next item.
Item 20, introduction of bills and resolutions.
If you have any measure to introduce, pass them on to Chief Clerk. Next item.
Item 21, miscellaneous communications. There are none.
Next item.
Item 22, miscellaneous business.
Do you have any miscellaneous business? Gentlemen. If none, announcement, Chairman Willett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is no announcement from your Committee on External Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Figueroa? Chairman Berman? Chairman Romulo? Chairman Panuelo? Chairman Gulen? Chairman Ursimal? Oh, okay, so we'll move you somewhere where it can be revived. Okay, Vice Speaker Moses, you have any announcement?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe we have a reception tonight over at the Hideaway Bar and Grill. Sakal will be starting at 5 and then the dinner at 6.
That's the best news I've heard all day, all morning. Okay, thank you, Vice Speaker, for that. Senator Ned? Senator Aridos? Senator Coleman? Announcement? No. Okay, Floor Leader, you have any announcement in your usual motion?
Short recess, Speaker.
Short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that we stand in recess until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that Congress stand in recess until tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. We now stand in recess until tomorrow at 10 in the morning.